everybody. Just so you know, this is going to get recorded. All right, so please record. All right, so. All right, so I'm going to build this T clip. So first thing I want to do is make sure what am I in inches or metric. We're going to learn about how to change that over, but for now we know we're in inches or imperial. So I'm going to create a new drawing here. All right, and I can show you how you change this, but right now it'll default to inches, so you're going to be good. So the first thing I need to do is figure out where's my 0, 0. I need to work off a 0, 0. It makes it much easier for me. So I don't know the length of these angles. I mean, I could calculate it, but the easiest thing to do is just take my line. I'm going to make the top left, and you can really do it anywhere. So I'm going to say top left is going to be my 0, 0. So I take the line tool, I type in 0, 0, enter, and I scroll out, and then I'm going to go, I'll just go down 1 inch. All right, type in 1, enter, and then I push escape, and then I'm going to do the same. Now I'll do the top right. So I'll type in 0, 0, enter, and I'll go to the right here, and that's going to be 6.5 inches. So I want to make sure that I'm on that green line. Type in, and also, if you notice on the gray box, it says 0 degrees. So 6.5, enter. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit now because I can see where my scale is. And I'm going to go ahead and down. I know that's 1 inch. Enter. All right. And then now the challenge is I don't know how far. So maybe what I'll do is I'll make myself, and again, there are 1,000 different ways to do this. So what I could do is I could say, if I wanted to find this point, another way of doing it would say, okay, X is going to be to the right. So I would say X is going to be 1.75, enter. And then Y is going to be down -4. Let's see what happens when I do that. All right. That does not look right to me. So in theory, that should have worked. Another way of doing that would be just to go here, come down. This is going to be a construction line. Type in 4, enter, come over 1.75, right? And that will be that point. Let's make sure I'm going horizontally. All right. And then what I could do then is get rid of this line here, and then I could just snap to that point. So it should have worked. I'm not sure why it didn't that first time. Maybe I had my mouse pointed on something, but so that should work here. And then I'd come over to the right. It's 2.75 inches minus 1.75, so it's going to be 1 inch. Okay, and then I could also figure out this height here. It's going to be 2 inches up at 4, so it doesn't tell me, but I could just do the math. So it's going to be 2 inches up, right? And the proportions look a little funny, but let's go here, right? So let's clean this up a little bit here. It's probably not a bad idea before I get too carried away to just verify my dimensions. What you don't want to be doing is spending a lot of time doing all this, and all of a sudden it doesn't fit, and you're like, what did I do wrong? So it's always good to just verify your dimensions. All right. And I tend to do it the way the book does it, so I can go back later and then just clean it up very quickly. All right. So 4 inches. All right. Obviously, I need to change that, but that looks good. Let's just verify that's 1 3/4 inch. Okay. So far, so good. So again, it's always good to verify as you're going along. I'm not worried about line weights at this point or anything like that. So now I can come over. So I know that's a 1/2 inch over. So I could take a calculator and figure this out. So it's going to be, I'll start at this point. So I know if I go left here, it's all got to equal 3.5. So 1.25 plus 1.25 and 1 is 3. So I'll just go from here and I'll go over 1.25, enter, and then I'll come up 1 inch because that's what it says on the PDF. Again, I'm just fall in the PDF, and then I'll come over here 3.5 inches. I could go half, and I'll show you why, but that's okay. All right, and I'm just going to stop there. Let's just verify these dimensions, and then I'm going to do a little shortcut here. So 3.5, that looks good. All right. The thing to notice is whenever you do dimensions, it's always going to be the largest number is on the outside of the drawing, being that whenever somebody wants to quickly look at a drawing, they can tell the overall dimensions just by quickly looking at it. That's why the larger numbers are always on the outside. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm just going to mirror this so I don't have to go through that whole thing again. So I'm going to literally just anyway, I don't have to be on the command line. I just go ahead and type in MIRROR. Now there is an icon up here, and you can see the icon on the top. So if you look on the very top of that the ribbon, you'll see the same icon. And if you leave it there, it'll also tell you what's going to happen. All right, select the objects. So I got to be a little careful here because I don't really want all the dimensions. And I want this line. Actually, I don't really want that line. So that's good. Push enter. And then I want the midpoint. And if you don't know how to figure out the midpoint, and I'm going to come down, I will show you in a second. Do I want it? Now, you also want to read it. It says erase source objects. No. So it defaults to no, or I could just type in N. So I'll just push enter. But I do know that that's a double line there. All right. So, so that's good. Now, if your mirror doesn't work, what you want to make sure you do is come on here on your snap settings on your, so I always have the polar track on and my object snap. There's where my midpoint is. This is what I'm comfortable with. You might want to do something else, but endpoint, center, intersection, and then the extension. These are what I work with. So you want to make sure those are set. So I think I pretty much have this done now. I just need to finish dimensioning it. And so the other thing to notice is when you dimension it, it should always come off the part a little bit. Even though your drawing may be hard to see, the dimension line is always, it should never be connected to the part unless it's going to some place in there, because you have to remember the viewer might get very confused on what is the part. Think about a drawing that get copied 4 or 5 times. It can be very hard to see what's going on. Okay, so excuse me, let me finish dimensioning this, and then I'm going to change all the tolerances on the line weight. 1 inch, that looks good. And let's do this one here. Now I might need to zoom in a little bit. You got to be careful when you snap. Sometimes you snap to the wrong place. And then I'll move this to the outside. So I think I'm basically done with this. So let's just now clean it up a little bit. So the other thing, by the way, if you're ever curious, like what did I just do? You can always take the command line and drag it up. This tells you, this is kind of what your bread and butter is. This is telling you what's going on. So sometimes you want to check like what dimension was that? And you can just go back and look at it. Okay, so a lot of that was gibberish because it was dimensions, but that looks fairly good. I think I have everything. Before I do the dimensions, I'm just going to click on the lines. You have to be careful you don't click on the dimensions, because if you click on the dimensions, that's going to get made larger too. So here's my lines. And so again, right now it's off, meaning that these 3 horizontal lines, you want to click and the line weight. So if the line weight's off, I could change the line weight in my properties. And again, you type in properties, I'll go to line weight by layer, but I'm just going to go ahead and do 0.5. All right, so again, I haven't changed it, but I'll click on here and there's my line, right? So on that horizontal. Now, if you printed it, it would have showed you, it would have printed with the correct line weights. I noticed I missed a couple here, so that's okay. Line weight, sorry, line weight, 0.5. And, you know, if you're at home or it sometimes printers need more or less. So just be aware that this is kind of seems to work really well with our going to PDF. Okay, so there it is. All right, so that looks good. Now let's change the precision or the tolerance. So again, if you don't see this top row and it's not there, you click to the arrow and you say show menu bar. And then you'll say format and you'll go to dimensions style. And then we're going to modify it. So I'll click modify. And then we're going to go, I think the arrow, everything looks good. The size of the text looks a little fine, looks fine. So then it's just a precision on the primary units. And we said we're going to make that, just looking at my drawing, to the hundredths. All right. So, and then is there anything else I need to change? I don't think so. So precision hundredths. I don't need to do the suppressing the 0. So everything looks good there. So I'll say, okay. Now I'm going to say set current. Hopefully it works. And I'll say close, and voila, I think I'm done. Now this is, we're trying to get as close as we can to this drawing as we can. This is fine. I mean, it's okay. So now what I would do is I would say Control P, or I would come up here to the icon, or I would say File, Plot or Print, Control P. And then what I recommend you do is first you have to select what you want the output. We're going to go to AutoCAD PDF. I'll do high quality. Now you can do display. The problem with display is AutoCAD's not that smart. If you start working outside of the drawing, and you delete something, it still thinks it's there. So I always go to Window, then I just do something like this, and I try to center it the best I can. And then I say Preview, just see how, now that looks pretty good to me. And this is a good place to check my drawing. And it's okay. If it's not good, then I'll just hit Escape and I'll fix it. Now the 1 is below there. That's okay. If I needed to, I could fix that, but this is fine. Same thing with the other one. There's plenty of room there. So I'll say Print, and then you want to save it to a place. And so I'm just going to put it on my desktop. And so I'm going to label this as T-clip. All right. T-clip, LIP. I'm going to actually copy this. It's on my desktop, save. And then I'll also save this file, save as, and it should default as a DWG. And I'm going to put this in the same place. You probably want to put it in a folder. I'm going to paste that in T-clip, and I'll push save. All right, so then I would submit it. All right, if you don't know how to submit, you go into the canvas, and let's go to our the day's activity. And I'm going to go, you can go to assignments if yours is available, but I'm just going to go to T-clip, click onto it, and I'm going to upload both the documents. My apologies, I have to go to student view for this because you see something a little different. And I'll say, start assignment, is that I'm doing? Yeah, upload file. And I put this in my desktop. So choose file, desktop. And let's go, there it is. I can only do one at a time. There's my DWG. It doesn't really matter which one you're doing first. I always see the latest one on your PDFs. If you put more than one PDF, I see the later one. So don't stress if you're like, oh, you need to fix it. Oops, upload file, choose file here, and that'll be the PDF. That's what I grade. Submit assignment, and you should be done. I'm going to stop the recording now. Yay. Let me stop the recording, and I can try to answer any questions.